We'll see if it works.
Drinking with authors may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drinking with Authors, which with me, your host, Nick Savage, author of the West Haven Undead series and drinker of Jameson Castmates, because who needs a liver? Joining us this evening is the authors that make up the author name, B.B. LeClere, authors of Steampunk versus Zombies. And before they get into that, I do want to welcome them both for being here today, because I know you had to drive a little farther to get here to join up. But I thank you for doing and taking the time to do that. And before you get into Steampunks versus Zombies, I have two things I had to mention. One, we have a sponsor that makes all of this possible. Otherwise, it would just be me talking to myself. And that sponsor is Four Horsemen Publications. Check them out at fourhorsemenpublications.com. Wonderful authors there and lots of good books, but also wonderful authors joining us today who are about to tell us what they're drinking before they tell us about the books. So what are you guys drinking? Welcome, welcome.
I'm drinking Dragonfire strawberry flavored sparkling wine. It's very tasty.
I am drinking Captain Morgan and pepper and butterscotch schnapps together.
Well, and since we're all drinking, let's salute to Captain Morgan and butterscotch and sparkling wine.
Salute.
There's a couple. Ooh, that is something right there. That is also not my first shot of the day. You think it would get easier. So, Zombies versus Steampunk. I know there's a game that goes along with it. I know you have two books out and you're writing the third. But let's take it back before that. Where does Zombies and Steampunk start, and how does it lead up to where you're at right now? Tell us the whole shindig on the book.
Originally, the genesis of the idea was that we both really enjoyed the steampunk aesthetic.
The vibe
of it. Yeah. And we tried to find an origin of it. Like, where did it originally start as far as the movement that it became?
In the
we
core.
Couldn't find anything. It was like H.G. Wells, Lovecraft, so on and so forth. They all had stories with steampunk elements, but they were already established elements. There was no like origin story of this is why the world had steampunk. So we wrote one. We wrote an origin story.
Yeah, we went back and did a lot of research, beginning of the Industrial Revolution, 1834. And that's when the beginning of steam power really started to take hold. And so that seemed a natural place to start. Also, in doing that, when we started to really dig into what was happening at that time in USA, found a bunch of cool stories that fed right into our story. So as an example that I give all the time, in Detroit in 1834, in 1 month, 900 people died. That's a fact. That's history. It's in the books.
And at that time, that was a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
It's a lot of people today. But
in 1 month, right? History says it was cholera. We say it was something a lot more exciting.
A little more interesting.
So would you say then that Zombies versus Steampunks is a revisionist, speculative historical fiction?
Yes.
Yeah, that works. Yes.
It's a very long, hyphenate right there.
Right. This could have possibly happened under the veneer of true history.
Right. It's not a complete redo of history where some of them take off on a tangent. Ours stays right there underneath history where somebody go, this could have happened. Did this happen? Because you would have to cover something like that up. Otherwise, the young nation would abandon itself.
So you did strive for realism then, because as much as everybody's like, oh, zombies, yeah, they're you always have to suspend disbelief when you're reading or watching about it and stuff. But you seem like you wanted to have a far more realistic approach as to this could have happened and been covered up then because of,
Yeah, and we made them scientifically plausible zombies. It's not a person who's literally died and come back and now he wants to eat your brains. It's a disease that has been created on accident and contracted by the general populace.
Very nice, very nice. And you have two books out right now.
Yes.
Right.
And I am assuming they are both not called Zombie versus Steampunk. I did not get the name in my information about the second book title.
Right.
The first one is The Secret War of 1834. That's this one behind Dad.
And it looks like this.
Ta-da!
Very nice.
The second one is behind me, and it is The Tainted Arrow.
The Tainted
And it
Arrow.
is the first one that has the Zombies versus Steampunk tagline underneath it. But when we do a reprint of the series, that'll be on all the book covers.
That'll be on all the book covers. Okay. Now, I have seen you guys, and we know each other. This is not a stranger interview here. At a lot of conventions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much every time I do a convention, if you guys aren't there, I'm a little shocked.
Yeah. And we enjoy seeing you. And for some reason, they keep putting us right across the aisle from each other.
Yeah. We're
I
always
know.
here.
Which is cool. I like it.
And that I am definitely okay with that. As far as the convention circuit goes, are you finding a good reader base at the conventions for yourself?
Yes, we are. When we
Yes.
get to a convention, excuse me, and we talk to somebody face to face, and if the conversation goes to the book and not the other stuff that we sell, we can talk about that in a minute, to support this thing. But if we start talking about the book, odds are really good they're going to buy that book.
Mm-hmm.
Almost always, if they get if they're even seriously considering a book at all, and we talk about it, they buy the book, which is great. It makes us feel good, and we have people coming back going, "When's the next book? When's the next book?"
Constantly. We have a fan base of a small but very dedicated group of people who will follow us from convention to convention and hound us, basically, when's the next one? Or one of our favorite readers, we call him our biggest fan. He, for months between the first book and the second book release, was every convention. Hey, is the second one out yet? Hey,
He was also a vendor like you, like us. He was down the aisle selling lightsabers. But he'd come by and he'd say, "Is that book out yet? I want to find out what happens." He was very polite. He wasn't pushy,
but he was pushing.
He kept us.
Kept
us motivated, kind of. That
he
helps.
was our motivation for sure. One of them, one of our biggest motivators.
No, that is wonderful. And I know you mentioned, and you mentioned on the air, the second edition that you're doing.
Yes.
Tell me about. You mentioned you're doing some changes to it. Can you tell us about those?
The first book was written in between 2018 and 2019. And we got physical copies in hand March of 2020, early March of 2020.
If you recall, early March of 2020 is the exact time our plague hit.
1 week later, COVID hit and the world shut down.
Fun little story is we had saved up and booked a cruise together for that week. And if everybody remembers how the plague started, or the pandemic started, it was out on the West Coast.
You can call it a plague.
Yeah, it was out on the West Coast on a cruise ship. That's where the news was happening. We thought, well, we're an entire continent away.
Yeah.
It just started out there. We should be fine. And we got out there, and it was like during the course of the week, set sail, I think, on a Monday or a Sunday. On Wednesday or Thursday, we're all gathered. Thursday, we're gathered in our cabin, which ain't big anyway.
No.
And we're watching the news of the world shutting down and all of our plans for our big book launch going right out the window.
Yep.
Porthole.
Porthole.
I think people who are old enough to have formed memories know exactly what was happening around that time in their personal lives. My parents had come into town to visit, and there was the talk on the news. And as they were wrapping up to leave, they're like, "Do you think it'll be big?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I hope it won't be, but I think something big's happening." And then they fly home, and the next day everything shut down.
Yeah. I told the grandkids, this is the biggest moment in history in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, I was around during Kennedy assassination, during 9/11, all that. That was huge and terrible, but it affected pretty much just the U.S.
Yeah.
This affected the entire world.
Yeah.
And I remember being in restaurants and grocery stores and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, we're just shut down for 2 weeks. It's, stay at home for 2 weeks and everything will be fine." And
No.
yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, and I actually had my stepmom gave her a copy of the book. Obviously, you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And she said she couldn't read it because it mirrored too closely the reactions that we had in our book to the reactions that the world was taking to the pandemic taking place
At the time. So we wrote a story about a global plague and then released it
during a plague.
Tandem with a global plague.
Yeah.
Which is great marketing and also
good news, bad news.
Yeah. Well,
now we got on a radio show,
book.
right?
Yeah.
It was a Christian-based radio show, and the guy was asking us, "So, how's it feel to be a prophet?"
Yeah, no.
It is cool. It just kind of worked this way, but I don't know if we're
Yeah.
Coincidence does not a prophet make. No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But because of that, we kind of put the second book on the back burner a little bit. We
had our apple cart upset.
Yeah, as much of the world did, but we, instead of taking the time where everybody was locked away indoors to write, we just kind of twiddled our thumbs. So for the longest time, the second book didn't happen.
Yeah, we're also dealing with, there's a lot of stuff, if you recall, to deal with during the pandemic. You had to figure out where to get groceries and where to get toilet paper and all that stuff. And you had to, everything took an extra 5 steps to get the kids from here to there and all that. So,
yeah.
And
there was
so
that.
Yeah.
It became a thing, especially during the pandemic, like instead of head, shoulders, knees, and toes, it was wallet, phone, mask, and keys type stuff.
Yeah.
You had to go through that checklist and stuff. And it was hard, and it became part of life for a lot of people and stuff. And then it slowly went away. But then you also slowly wrote the second book.
Yep.
And that is out.
A clumsy segue. The mask that we used during the pandemic was nice, but the mask that they used, that's not going to show very well.
The plague doctor mask.
The plague doctor mask that they used back in the day actually in some ways was superior because you had this long bird beak. Social distancing happened automatically.
Yeah.
And you were able to fill it with fragrant flowers, cotton, charcoal. Other stuff, herbs that actually filtered the air. And sometimes, not everybody did it the right way. Same as the mask that we had during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because the plague masks were full face, you couldn't not wear it properly.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things, because we sell these plague masks at our booths at the conventions, one of the things I like to tell people is that they are COVID compliant. So we actually had a teacher, it's one of my favorite stories to tell people at the booths. We had a teacher buy a mask specifically to wear it in her classroom.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Whilst teaching. And I just thought that was hilarious. I would have loved to have been a student, back in the, anyway.
One of the fun things about that we used with the plague mask being in play is the pandemic upset the horses, so they couldn't use them in the first book.
Yeah, the affliction, as we call it.
Right.
Okay.
The zombies and the noises and the smells and everything, it just freaked them out. They had to do everything on foot, which slowed everything down. In the second book, we have an innovative fort captain who equips the horses with a sort of plague mask, which would involve, modified blinders and a modified feed bag, which would give the horses a horrific look, which I think is kind of cool.
Picture a horse with a horse-sized plague mask.
Right. So
a bit on the creepy side.
I'm trying to play into the story that's going with the story that needs to be told.
No, completely. And you're writing book 3 now.
Yes.
Is that going to complete? Is it going to stay a trilogy, or are you going to leave it open?
We kind of feel fairly strongly that it should stay a trilogy because we see in the movies and the books that they'll
Especially
take
movies nowadays.
they'll take a book or a story and they'll just stretch it and just work it till it's well beyond either its mythos, they go too deep down, or they abandon their own mythos and their rules of the world and stuff.
Or they backtrack on the previous story that's already been told. For example, Toy Story would have been great when they switched the toys from Andy to Bonnie. End. You're done. And now they're making a Toy Story 5 or 6. And it's like, you told the story. You don't need to keep going.
Making a story, making a good story, and making a buck is two different things. We're thinking if we do continue it, if we get popularity and people are, and we'll talk to our fans, talk to the people and do you want to continue with the same cast? Because our very, very strongly cast-driven story, we have an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
Or do you want to stay with the plague and follow it into the next generation or two? Because the thought of taking this whole steampunk zombie thing into World War I, I think would be
drastically different.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it would be fascinating. There's so much to play with there, Spanish flu and so forth. And a lot of the news was not reported. So we could do that. But then you don't have the cast. So we're debating, but we definitely want to keep this as a solid trilogy. Here you go. There's your story. Thank you very much. The end. Goodbye.
No. And I definitely understand. And I think I agree that when a story has run its course, stop milking, the dead cow.
Yes.
That was a mixed metaphor.
I love it, though.
It works.
Mixed maxim.
Yeah.
Stop milking the dead cow. That is horrible.
It goes in the zombie
horrible
zone.
imagery. Yeah. Horrible imagery. Are you going to shut off the world then, or might you tell other stories that need to be told within the world if you're thinking about doing the,
Very good.
Another idea was like a sort of anthology of different viewpoints during the main trilogy, because throughout the books we have little cutaways to this family or that pair of brothers or this lady who runs a shop in New Orleans, what have you, and it's telling their viewpoint as the main cast interacts with them and leading up to the main cast interacting with them. So not to give spoilers, a particular afflicted will interact with this pair of brothers, and now that pair of brothers has to be dealt with by the main cast.
Also, our main cast is kind of a fascinating group of characters, not intentionally, but we stop and looked at it. One of them was a spy in the War of 1812.
Okay.
That would be a cool story to tell.
Yeah, his backstory. Yeah.
One of them was a Native American during the atrocities that happened to the Native Americans
in the 1830s. Yeah.
Yes. So his story and his maintaining his point of view through all of that would be a cool story. The doctor's backstory has
and then
cool
where he goes from there,
immigrated to America and so forth. So there's all kinds of other side stories we could do.
That would be kind of a compilation, because none of them are book length stories, but they could be a collection of short stories.
Almost a compendium to the series.
A compendium, exactly, yes.
And that is plan B kind of a thing. Our first idea is we're going to both go on and write pretty much radically different things separately.
He's got a high fantasy thing and percolating up in his brain hole.
Urban fantasy, so it takes place in modern times, and it's a changing of all the laws of nature, not all of them, but most of the laws of nature as we know them, that opens up possibilities that we don't have and closes other possibilities that we become used to. And she's got one that involves a phenomenon that has to be dealt with, but can't be dealt with. It has to be figured out.
And that the phenomenon appears from nowhere. They have to figure out what caused it and how to turn it off. And in doing so, they discover a whole new world within the world of sorts.
I love urban fantasy as author of urban fantasy. I am very comfortable in there.
We will probably talk about this at the next con.
What made you want to
Yeah.
go from writing historical kind of speculative fiction, fantasy or sci-fi, I should say, to modern day urban? What made you want to do the time shift?
Well, I had two books wandering around in this open space in my head, and one of them was in the world. The title was going to be "The World Awakens," and the other was Zombie versus Steampunk. I decided that partner up with her and do the Zombie versus Steampunk, and it turned out way better than expected.
Yeah, took us down a road we were not expecting to go down.
Yeah, and I think we have a very cool, full, rich story there. And we may, once we get this one in paper, once we get that third one, which is going to be called
The Glass Grenade.
The Glass Grenade.
I like that title.
Once we get that one out and this trilogy is done, and like I said, it's done. That's the package. We got the 3 books and the game.
Yes.
That'll be that package. Then we stop, take a breath, and think about what we want to do next. And maybe something together, but we've got ideas apart and together that we're going to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Now,
and we've written together already, we can basically just hand unfinished manuscripts to each other and be like, hey, take a look at this, make sure it's not, terrible.
This goes into a very cool, the joy of writing with somebody, and the way we're doing it. We can't do it in the same room.
No.
Our AD&D takes us down a tangent, and but her weaknesses as a writer offset my weaknesses as a writer. I mean, and her strengths and weaknesses offset each other. That's she's very good with the grammar, the punctuation, the sentence format, and all that stuff. And I tend to just get up and just type and just get the story on paper, where she's not as good with keeping the dialogue running and not lapsing into narrative.
Storytelling. Yeah, the narrative. I can do the narrative all day long. He can do the dialogue.
So I'll go, let me turn this into dialogue. And then she'll go, let me fix this paragraph or whatever. So it all balances out pretty cool.
No, I like it. You have, and I've seen it at the shows, and actually, I'll get to that later. I've seen it at the shows, and it's always looked interesting, and the shows keep me busy, so I've not had a chance to ask you, so I'm going to ask you now. The game. Explain the game. And for those watching on the YouTube channel, she's going to show us. For those listening, there's the game. She's showing us. She can't see it because you're listening.
Yeah.
But it's a strategy game.
It's a strategy game.
While she's getting it out to show you the bits and pieces, let me look at that first, please.
Yeah.
This is all of the rules right here. You ready? Front of the page, back of the page.
There it is.
Oh, there's not a lot of rules for games nowadays.
Right.
Yeah.
Most games, you got to read a book for a week before you can sit down and play with somebody. You're like, hey, let's play a game I just got.
Book. Like, it's thick.
Yeah. So I made a point. I designed the game itself. Sat down with a ruler and a pencil and all that stuff. I designed the game itself, but she does a lot of the building of the 3D prints and a lot of the terrain and stuff. So real quick, I'll try to be quick.
Quick and dirty.
3 phases to a turn.
Okay.
Before you do the turns, you have setup, where you roll dice and you place terrain based on a 1 through 10. All right, you get the idea. 1 through 10 here, 1 through 10 down. And then you place the terrain, which you have 3 different types: water, trees, and rocks. And then once you get the terrain set, then the airship takes a turn. It'll fly around. The airship will wipe out 4 squares at a time. And that is regardless of whether it's zombies or soldiers or whatever.
And you're playing as either
There's
zombies,
a zombie.
Okay.
And you have 6 zombies and 3 soldiers.
or a soldier.
And the object is to, board please, is to get from one corner to the other, almost like capture the flag. If you get from the zombie cave up to the soldier fort.
We're
mirrored to ourselves, so
then that's a win. But you've got the opposition coming the other way, and the airship and terrain. So it's a different game every time. Now we took this to my grandkids are in junior high. If anybody's going to be super critical, junior high kids will tear you up.
Yeah.
So they looked at it, and our rating, our comment back was second favorite game next to Risk.
Interesting. Okay, so that's some strategy involved in there. Yeah,
definite strategy. It's you don't roll to move your guys; you roll to either hit, or to move the airship.
Okay.
So it's you move 2 spaces, and the zombies move in a straight line. The soldiers can also move diagonally, and there's different rules for both sides, and it makes it. And we have
each side has a little cheat card that shows you what the moves are, as well as the graveyards, for lack of a better term, graveyard and medic tent. Okay. For when your player pieces are removed from the board.
So if a zombie or a soldier attacks each other, and a soldier can do it from 1 space away, a zombie has to be adjacent. If they attack each other, roll a 12 or higher, both sides, and win, then it goes off the board and over to the graveyard to be resurrected, or the medic tent to be fixed. Or if the and that may come out the next turn. Or if the airship comes up and wipes you out, you're off the board.
Okay.
So that kind of keeps things interesting and keeps the numbers changing. Oh, I got 6 zombies. Ooh, I got 3 zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
and then the one that we've been showing you is the standard version, where the zombies are all one color, the soldiers are all one color, and the terrain tiles are flat, like that.
Okay. Yeah.
The deluxe version, the terrain tiles are 3D printed. So they've got, 3D-ness to them. And I mean, what else do you call it?
Yeah.
Dimension, I think, is the word.
Yes. And the third dimension.
And the zombies and soldiers are each individually hand painted.
Oh, very nice. Now,
she does.
I do painting.
Every time I mess up a word in real life and people are like, "You're an author," I'm like, "That's why we have editors."
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what spell check is for.
Yes.
Like 3D, I think you mean dimension. Yeah. Now, I know he mentioned earlier that you 3D print some of these. Do you make the entire 100% of the game yourself, or are there parts you have to outsource?
For the most part, we we create the game from scratch ourselves.
Yeah. She got the 3D prints. I was at the copy store today getting some game boards printed up. Which just left the table.
Yeah.
There we go.
Foam board with the basically.
We haven't found a nicer answer, so we're keeping this. We got them printed up, and then we put them on the foam board, and that makes a nice, sturdy, foldable thing. And until we find something better that we don't have to buy by the thousands.
Yeah.
Just the answer.
So it's a print-on-demand game too, for the most part. Like if you're running low,
we always have a handful on hand.
All right, and I know
both the standard and the deluxe.
I know later I'm going to ask you about where we can buy this, but I am curious right now. What's the pricing on both versions?
The standard game is
$25,
and the deluxe is $40. And the
That's
deluxe
not bad at all.
It's hand painted figs, and
it's very reasonable. And if you compare, one of the things we do at our booth with not only the supporting merchandise that we sell, but our games and our books, is we keep the prices to where the average con goer can buy them.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. I mean, we were trying to buy more. We have replica repeater guns that look like the guns that are used in the revolvers. And we couldn't buy them yet because the prices aren't right yet. So we have to wait and not have them until we can have them at the right price for our customers. So the game, we keep at a nice, even price. Not only for that, to be honest, it's because it's new. And we're trying to get people in people's hands.
No, I completely understand. But I mean, there are board games out there that if you go to like a store, these tabletop games, not necessarily board games, but just games in general, that are like $95.
Yeah.
And even like Monopoly has gotten up there, especially with someone like, I don't want to say Monopoly, I'm not calling out them, sorry, Hasbro or whoever the hell owns you. But like some of these classic board games that have these deluxe editions, that were like, $20 are now $45-$50 for these games. So you're keeping your prices really reasonable, really affordable. And that's a good thing, especially for the con goers. And I do want to ask, because there's a lot of authors out there who are stuck with marketing, who don't know social media, don't know what to do with conventions, don't know, they have their book and they're done. They're stuck. They've kind of like, they don't know what to do. What advice do you have for authors who are trying to get out there and want to start dipping their toes in the convention circuit?
Start small. Don't try and get into like MegaCon or Dragon Con right off the rip, because you will get swallowed.
We won't do Dragon Con because it's too big and it's not vendor friendly. It's just too many vendors in one space. And
it's a 4-story building with vendors on every floor, and Artist Alley, where we would be, is on the top floor.
Right. So it's a great con. Go to Dragon Con if you want to go.
Fantastic con to attend.
If you're vending it, good for you. But it was not something that because of getting from here to Atlanta, getting room rates and all that stuff, we're not doing that at the moment. So take everything into consideration. Go local first. Get a nice local con. If you live in Orlando, good for you. There's a bunch of different things coming up. We're going to be in Orlando in a month at Geek Culture
Con.
All right.
I've been to that one.
It's right there, and for us, it's pretty close, and you can do it. And if your book doesn't sell, what we do is we sell stuff that is associated with our story, steampunk stuff. We sell plague masks,
the replica revolvers,
goggles, replica revolvers, 3D prints to go with our game, and dice, stuff like that around that is related to what we do, that people can come by, and that will help support the cost of the booth until your book picks up and takes over. Hopefully. Yeah,
fingers crossed. The other recommendation is, when you're at a con, involve yourself with the people. Don't just sit there twiddling your thumbs waiting for somebody to come to you. Even if you get somebody glancing over or reading your banner, say, hey, I see you seeing us. Come over.
Look.
Have a look-see.
I already know you can read. You read our banner. Here you go.
Get a book in their hands. We constantly hand them the book face down with the back plate up so that they can pick it or take it from our hand and read the back plate. And that gets it physically in their hand, and they're less likely to want to give it back.
See, I like that. I like that technique, because I talk with people, but I don't hand them the book. I'm like, pick up the book if you want, because I don't know. That's just me, but I kind of like that. Just here, if you want to take a look type stuff, because they have the option to say no.
Right.
They're thinking about it. They're going to take it, and then
we do talk to them a little bit about it. This is a story it's not the same as your average zombie story. It's not the same as it is a war story. We're fighting back. Here, have a look-see. You kind of give them a little bit of a setup. You hand them your story, because telling your own story is good, and you should be able to do that. Any writer who's enthusiastic about what they've written and put in print
should be able to
do that.
Rattle off a basic synopsis.
Next bit of advice is get it in print, guys. Do it. Go ahead and take that next step. Everybody gets a little tenuous. Oh, is it good enough? Am I going to be okay? Is it going to try? If you don't try, it's going to be a no.
Like Marty McFly's dad, George McFly in Back to the Future. I don't think I could handle that kind of rejection. You've already rejected yourself if you don't put it out there.
Yeah. And you have to believe in yourself, So yeah. No, that is some wonderful advice. Thank you. I kind of want to use my platform to, help out people. And that's what we're doing. So I just wanted to.
Usually about once or twice a con, we'll get somebody that comes up and say, look, I'm trying to write a book. I will latch on to that person. Come here, let's talk. Because I want to get that person from here to there, because it took us a leap.
Yeah.
To get from here to there, to say, all right, we're going for it. And
even with the first book, when we were writing it, we had a friend of ours, a family friend, who was just hounding us. She was like, okay, how many pages have you written?
How's the book? How many
hours have you been writing, today? Yeah. And constantly would just pick at us like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? And
in a nice way.
In a nice way. In a in a motivational way.
Yeah.
It got our thumbs out and got us to actually finish and finally put the end on the end of the
nice choice of words.
On the end of the last chapter.
Well,
and
sorry, continue.
Find a publisher and
now publishing, do a lot of research.
And then do more research.
Yes, we've got 2 books out, and I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but a few months ago, we felt because the publisher we've been using fell way short on a lot of promises that they did live up to on the first book. Second book came out, none of this publicity and all that happened. We're like, and their prices went up. We're like, we got to find a way to do this better. We went out and we connected with another publisher. Scam, big time scam.
Big scam.
We had to get the bank involved. We almost got the lawyers involved to get out of that deal because they obviously did not know what they were doing. So just be careful what you jump into and go with an existing name. We did the research on Google, and this scam company came up okay.
Yeah. So be very, and obviously we're not going to name names, but be very careful about who you go with and do a lot of research and talk to the people who have had their books published by these companies or these publishers if you can.
Who we're looking to next, and I'll put this out, is Ingram Spark. You've heard of it, I guarantee it. Everybody's heard of Ingram Spark. They're as solid as it gets, especially for an independent publisher. I went on the internet and looked at their site. Very, very comprehensive. You can choose your font. You can choose sketch art. You can do everything you want to with your book.
Yeah.
Keep the rights, and our price was half of what these people are charging. And I won't put their name out there either because it's not kosher and I don't want to get a lawsuit.
No, Ingram Spark is sorry.
Say what?
I was going to say Ingram Spark is a great way to do everything from independent publishing to small publishers to hybrid publishing. They are kind of the go-to. Like if you want any chance of getting your books into bookstores, whether independent or big box stores, you have to be through Ingram. And Ingram Spark, I believe, and don't quote me on this, I believe has the ability to do returns if they buy and everything like that, which means they should be able to be put into stores, but don't quote me on that because I'm not, it's been a while since I had to look into their stuff, but they, Ingram, as the umbrella corporation that runs Ingram and Ingram Spark and whatever their third branch is, has a lot going for them and in the way of the publishing industry. So yeah, that is definitely a good way to be looking for your prints and stuff.
Solid company. And I'm a little more optimistic, very cautious because we almost stepped into a couple. We did step into one and got out of it. So just be careful, but go ahead. Whatever you do, go ahead. First, make sure you're right, then go ahead. Get your book right in your own head, how you like it. And one thing we didn't know when we first published was development editor. But we did have several good beta readers that took that place, and we got going. And our first book, we've entered 2 contests, we've won 2 awards.
Nice.
We're going next week.
Yeah, next weekend. Matter of fact.
To New York to get an independent press award.
Had to buy a black tie dress and everything.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So very proud of what we did. And we went to author meetups. One is called Superstars of Writing. The other is Author Nation. And we went to all kinds of seminars and all kinds of things, which is, if you can get to one of those, it's expensive but worth it. I recommend it. They tell you how to lay out your book, how to set up how to do the business of being an author, how to go to market and all that stuff. Very good information. But we did find out that our book followed all the necessary, I'm not going to say tropes, but guidelines for a successful story, right? The hero story goes from, Star Wars. They all follow a similar framework to get their story told. And we stayed right on that, and we're very happy with that.
Without sort of meaning to.
Without knowing any better, we all grew up watching movies. I'm sure you did too. And we went with what we knew, and it fell right into place.
I was very subconsciously in your mind while you were writing. So even though you might not have known the formula and the steps to follow it, you still followed it anyways, which I think is
Yeah.
We knew how a story was told, so to speak.
And that's the perfect way to tell a story, is to, know how to do it. I think a lot of authors, or a lot of people say, anyone can be a writer. All you have to do is write. But I think on the same note, anyone can be a brain surgeon. All you have to do is cut into a brain. But to write, but to write successfully is very different from just writing. Just like brain surgery successfully is very different from just cutting into a brain. And you seem to have some natural talent to do so. Storytelling, not necessarily brain surgery.
Thanks for that. Yeah. But we talked to a lot of authors who are stuck, and we joined some Writers Association. Some of them just want to take this little loop in their own thing and all right, what's next? Let's move that along. And get the story told, and they get locked up. And so unlock yourself, tell that story, visualize the big end, and then write your way to it.
I like that. Now, I always ask people for one piece of advice you would give writers, and you've kind of given multiple pieces. So I want to ask you if there's any one piece that you haven't said that you want to say.
This is the same advice that I said on our first Drinking with Authors podcast. And
before my time.
Yeah. Don't stop writing. Just keep going. Even if you get into a slump or hit a writer's block the size of Everest, step away from that story, write something else, and then come back to
or write the next part.
Yeah. Skip
and
over
come back and fill in the gaps.
Yeah. But just keep writing, keep going.
No one has brought that up that I can think of offhand since I've taken over this show, is the fact that stories don't have to be written in order in which they happen. You can go and skip ahead and be like, I'm writing this part, go back, fill in the gaps. And then if you need to make changes in what you've already written, do it, since you're going to be doing it anyways when you get to the second and third draft. So
that is huge. You get to have a second and third draft. So don't worry if it's not perfect the first time, guys. Don't, just get it down and tell your crude story. All right. Then go back and just polish and finish and make it nice.
Fun fact about the first book, the first words written were chapter 3.
Very nice.
And it was the Deadly Prince, the barge that, the steam. Originally, it was a barge, and it turned into a steamship that ran aground on Mackinac Island, and that was the first bits of the story that we were.
And then we went back and set up. All right, that's a cool bit. How did that come to be?
Yeah, how did we get to there? So we wrote the getting to there.
Yeah,
very nice, very nice.
And that happened with the second book, and has happened with the third one as well. There's parts that we've written, parts that I wrote, parts that he wrote that were just standalones, for lack of a better term, and then we just wove them into the overall narrative.
Get comfortable writing your story several times.
Mm-hmm. And practically piecemeal. It's not going to flow as a movie in your brain. J.K. Rowling is famous for saying that Harry Potter just wrote himself out of her pen on that napkin in the cafe or wherever it was she was sitting.
Clearly, the whole story didn't happen that way. The basic outline, the basic formula wrote itself that way. One more thing real quick for other writers and is there are plotters and pantsers.
Yeah.
All right. Plotters will get almost a flow chart looking outline of this happens and then this happens and then this happens. All right. How does this happen? How does that happen? How do they get from here to here? And
a
then
storyboard of sorts, like with
Pantsers will go, all right, this guy's going to go here. Here we go. And they just start writing that. And it flows right out of their brain onto the paper into that. Two different, and there's no completely 1 or completely 10 as far as the scale of who's what. Some people are part both. Everybody's part both. Embrace what you got going.
To the one or to the other.
And don't sweat the small stuff. Do it.
Don't sweat the small stuff. That was a nice Zombieland quote, if you knew that or not.
Yeah. I feel like a Twinkie right now.
I love those movies.
Excellent flicks. Excellent. Love them.
One of the better zombie movies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we've talked about the Secret War of 1812, the Tainted Arrow, and you're working on the Glass Grenade, which we can't find anywhere yet because it's still being written. And, of course, the board game. Tell everyone where we can buy the books, where we can buy the game, because the game sounds fun. Give us the whole shebang on where we can find you guys, where we can buy everything, anything. Give us all shameless self-promotion right now.
Okay. We go to our website.
bbleclere.com. You can see our name right there. That's how you spell it. LeClere.
Or if you Google Zombie versus Steampunk,
we are the first
couple. We're going to pollute your screen with all kinds of spots because we're pretty much on that whole genre right now. So, yes, and then you can go to our website, and on our website, her mother, my wife, has set up a very nice site where you can just point and click and get whatever you want. It'll take, if we don't have it out of our house that we're selling, then it'll take you to Amazon or whatever, where we can get the digital copies and so forth. We also have audio books on both of the books out so far, done by Stephen Box.
Great
does
voice.
a great
Beautiful
job.
voice.
Nice, intense, but
has
listenable.
gravitas.
Yes, and I also want to give, I forgot his name. What's his name?
Benjamin Davis.
Benjamin Davis did our cover art, and he did a magnificent
on
job.
Both.
And we're very happy with this work as well.
Those are beautiful covers, and names sometimes elude us, and it happens to me. So I'm not calling you out on that. I'm showing empathy on having forgotten many names in my life.
Names is like my Archimedes heel. I just
Archimedes. That was a nice play right there. It's true though, especially because you do conventions, you meet so many people. That it's like I find an average of I have to see them 9 times at a convention in order to remember their name, because I'm so bad with names like that. Yeah. I want to, and I kind of talked over it when you were saying the spelling of the name for your social medias. It's BB LeClere, which is LeClere, for anyone who did not hear her, because I was being rude and made a comment over that. So I apologize about that.
Oh, don't apologize, bro. We're just talking.
Yeah.
I love
bbleclere.com.
By the way, next time we see each other at a con, we're all going to go out for a drink afterwards.
Yes.
I can do that. The more I drink, the less sick I get from drinking. So it's really a sad way to become an alcoholic.
And then we mentioned it earlier, but we are going to be at Geek Culture Con in Orlando.
Right. When is that convention?
That is, as I pull up my handy dandy calendar.
It's at
May 2nd.
May 2nd at the Doubletree. You're not going to be available.
I am going to be in Tennessee. We will talk after the show about this, so we can talk about meeting up and everything like that. Only because, as much as I always joke that I haven't had a stalker in a long time, they are a little strange. She was wonderful.
Good for you, bro. Good for you.
But no, I do stick around after we leave because I do want to chat. But I want to thank you guys both for being here. Collectively, for everyone listening, they are BB LeClere, and their books, The Secret War of 1812 and The Tainted Arrow, are both out now, as well as their board game, which if you're listening only and haven't seen the visuals, you can see the visuals on the YouTube channel, which is just Drinking with Authors. And the board game itself is really cool. They have their their normal version, and their 3D printed terrains for their deluxe edition, which everything is hand painted as well. Their books are available, as they said, either audiobook or paperback, and you can buy them on their website or on Amazon. This episode, as always, is brought to you by Four Horsemen Publications, and you can check them out at fourhorsemenpublications.com. Check out the authors at bbleclere.com. And I want to thank everyone for listening, for watching, for sticking around. And if you haven't followed Drinking with Authors, follow us on all the socials. Follow BB LeClere on all the socials they mentioned before. Admittedly, they aren't huge on socials, and they are working on that. So just buy their stuff and make them happy. That way they don't have to go, keep up on the socials. But again, stick around after we end. And for everyone else, thank you so much. And as always, it costs nothing to be kind. So just be nice and drink. Until next.
Thank you for listening to Drinking with Authors. Join us next time for another fun conversation with an author over drinks.